Specifically, we're going to be covering things like taxes, healthcare, and recreation. Do not fall asleep on me because you don't want to miss this information. It's so important that I actually divided it up into 2 videos. So part 1 of this video is linked in the description below. Definitely go and check that out. Nothing breaks my heart more than when people make the plan to move here, start looking at their dream home, and then figure out that it's actually not within the budget and they've got to look elsewhere, which is rare because Idaho is extremely affordable. But definitely, I can't harp on it enough. Make sure you get through this. If a topic doesn't pertain to you, just skip ahead to the next topic. My name is Rachel, and this here in the picture is my partner in crime, Addison Nett. I'm a licensed realtor. He is your money man. Combined, we've helped relocate hundreds of families. It's what we do. Eat, breathe, and sleep relocating people from other states, even other countries. So please don't hesitate. If you're thinking about relocating to Idaho, give us a call, shoot us a text, or write us an email. We've got your back. Okay, according to taxfoundation.org, Idaho was one of the top relocated to states. In fact, we were number 2, and they believe that the top relocated to states had a lot to do with the fact that those states had low taxes. So everything in blue is one of the top number 1 through 10 inbound located states. And all of those states are known for having low taxes. And then all of the orange guys up there behind me, like California, Oregon, all known for having high taxes, and they had the most outbound moves. We had 26,000 new families move into, or 26,000 new people move into Idaho last year. If that sounds scary and like everything's changed around here, 25,500 people actually moved out. So our population only increased by 500. And interestingly enough, a lot of the people who relocated here are original Idahoans. So healthcare, we've got on average $7,000, just over $7,000 annually per person in your family. We are the 40th least expensive state in the nation out of 51. They included the Dominican Republic in this here. We've got 2 systems here. We've got the St. Luke's Hospital System and the St. Alphonsus Hospital System. If you want to pick your system first, do so and then contact an insurance agent and make sure you sign up for the insurance that best fits that hospital system, because depending on which 2 of the main insurances here in Idaho you sign up for, you're gonna really wanna stick within your network of either St. Al's or St. Luke's. I personally use a private practice here. The name of it is Appleton Clinic. It is privately owned by a group of doctors. For 99 bucks a month, I get myself and 2 kiddos. I can see the doctor for no fee, a handful of the medications as long as they're filled in-house or no charge. Same thing with many of the labs. If I need to see a specialist, they have discounts worked out with local providers in the area. If I have an urgent need, I can text my doctor. It feels like concierge medicine for 99 bucks a month, and then I just pay for catastrophic insurance. So I actually find that to be not just a lot better for my family, but way more affordable. As someone who is self-employed, I've paid astronomical prices in the past for healthcare, and it wasn't good. Property taxes. So lower, these lighter colors down here, less money. These darker colors up here, more money. So as you can see, Idaho, we're sitting pretty good right in here. We are known for our low property taxes. Boise is just right here. But as you can see, these darker areas, I mean, as I'm circling these cities, maybe you can comment in the box below where you are looking to relocate out of, where you're looking to move away from. Something I want to point out, Here in Texas, these dark areas, Texas, a lot of the people who are considering relocating here to Idaho, when I'm talking to them, they're also looking at Texas. And we have a team there that also relocates a lot of families. And what people are usually pretty disappointed to learn is that the property taxes in Texas are astronomical. And I can dive a little bit more into comparing that with you a little bit deeper into the video. But that's going to be something definitely, if you're considering Texas or Idaho, you're going to be keeping a lot of your money in your pocket if you pick Idaho over Texas. You can get more house for your money in Texas, but your mortgage is going to be a lot more simply because of the property taxes. Okay, we got state income tax. Here's another big one. See these darker colors on the board? Again, as it gets darker, the tax rates get higher. Look at us here in Idaho. We are 5.8%. So you can keep the money that you make when you work. Sales tax, again, we've got a low sales tax. So we've got the lower end of the spectrum here. As it gets darker, it's higher. We're at 6.02% for our sales tax in the state. Social Security taxes. I'm sure you know that some states tax you on your Social Security benefits, which is crazy to me. Idaho does not tax on Social Security benefits. A lot of the people I have helped relocate here are retired, and this was a major player. So if you're thinking about retiring here, give us a call. You're not gonna have to pay anything on those Social Security benefits. Okay, property taxes. I can talk about property taxes all day, and I think it's so important that I actually am going to be dedicating an entire video to property taxes. That's coming out very soon, so definitely hit the subscribe button and this little bell. That way you're notified when that video and all the rest of my videos come out. But for now, I'm going to give you a little bit of a brief, high-level overview. The biggest thing, if you're not interested in all the details of the property taxes and you want to skip forward, is the way our property taxes are designed. It really makes sure that the money is going back into the districts and the city to put, fill the potholes, build the schools, put new roads down. So it's a major, major benefit of our tax system. The way it is designed, your taxes are directly related to the needs of the community, and that money goes right back into the community. So I know when you're driving around California, angry and pissed off that you're paying a ton of property taxes and you see graffiti everywhere, you're scared to get out of the car and pump gas because of the high crime, you're like, every other street you turn down has a big hole in the road and you're wondering, what are they doing with all of your money? You're not going to experience that here in Idaho. Idaho is clean, it's safe, there's no graffiti. You'll never see a homeless person sleeping anywhere except for very, very occasionally in downtown Boise at a park before sunset. You may every now and then, but it's just a night and day difference. Your tax dollars actually do go to work for you here in Idaho. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay, there are two main types of tax systems here in the United States. One is a rate-based system and one is a levy-based system. You're probably very familiar with a rate-based system. California uses one. In a rate-based system, your property tax is tied directly to the assessed value of your home. When property values increase, so do property tax charges and collections. When property values decrease, so do tax charges. In a rate-based system, the assessor has direct and almost total control over individual property tax charges. An example of this is California's Prop 13. I know everyone watching this is probably very familiar with it, and it's the reason why you're going broke living in California. In fast-changing markets, taxpayers are susceptible to large swings in tax burden. There's the ratio for how they calculate that. But cue the confetti, because in Idaho, we do not have a rate-based system. We have a levy-based system, which is very exciting for a lot of reasons. In this system, the basis of property tax is the amount budgeted to provide services, not just the assessed value of your home. It does play a role what your home is worth, but I'm gonna go through a little bit of math and show you what the heck I'm talking about. Something else to keep in mind is that statutes prohibit taxing authorities from increasing the budget beyond a certain amount. Right now, that certain amount is 3%. So what does that mean? When your district, which everyone's house in your neighborhoods, counties, cities, mosquito abatement areas are all divided up into districts. When everyone sits down to see what the budget needs to be and what all those district needs for the next year, they're not allowed to increase that budget more than 3%. So that helps control how much you as a property owner are paying, which means that the tax districts play a very prominent role in controlling the magnitude of the property tax requirement. Taxing districts include, but not limited to, like I had mentioned, cities, counties, schools, etc. And something to keep in mind, just because the budget can increase 3% doesn't necessarily mean that it does. Okay, the very first portion of the formula for how your taxes are calculated is the budget. The next is the sum of values. And what I mean by sum of values is, I have an example coming up. Let's say you have 6 homes in a district, which it would be much greater than 6 homes. But let's say you have 6 homes and they're all worth $250,000. You add that up, and that's what your sum of the values is, 250,000 times 6. And then the levy is applied to each property in the taxing district area to calculate individual tax charges. So what does that mean? I'll show you an example right here. So here we've got 6 homes and they're all worth the same amount of money, $250,000. All of these homes are owner occupied in the state of Idaho, and we'll dive a little bit deeper into this. I actually have a special guest who's going to make an appearance right here with me in just a moment. He is a national speaker and financial guru, so you're definitely going to want to hear what he has to say about this. In Idaho, you get $125,000 or up to 50% of the value of your home and an acre of land taken off of the assessed value, and then that remaining balance is what you pay your taxes on. So here we've got the value of this house, $250,000, and then down in here, $125,000 for the homeowner exemption, which leaves a taxable value of $125,000. Okay, so here we've got our tax base, which is the sum of the taxable values after the homeowner's exemption. So we took $125,000 and we multiplied that by 6 homes, and that gave us $750,000. District's budget is $9,000, okay? So we're going to divide the sum of all these taxable values by the budget, and that's going to give us right here our tax levy. And then you're going to take the tax levy and the taxable value of your house, and that is going to give you your tax per property. This is where I'm going to show you why the value of your home increasing isn't necessarily going to mean that you're going to pay more taxes like you would in a rate-based system. And keep in mind, there are a lot of factors that play into this. I'm just giving you a really basic example, and I don't have my calculator next to me, so bear with me. So we've got 6 homes, and let's just say that property number 6, instead of being worth $250,000, is now worth $500,000. The rest of these guys are all still worth $250,000. It's owner occupied, So we're gonna make the taxable value of this house is now going to be $375. So in our first example, remember, every house would be paying $1,500 for their taxes, okay? This is where it's going to change. So we've got 125,000 times 5 plus the taxable value of this house, $375. So that takes our tax base from $750,000 up to $1 million, okay? Let's say the budget is still the same. Didn't go up 3% this year, it stayed to $9,000. So we're gonna have to recalculate our tax levy. So we've got $1 million, and we're going to divide that by 9,000, which equals, whoop, if you heard that, that was my shoe, I promise. 009. Okay, so 1 million divided by 9,000 puts us at 0.009 for our tax levy. So if the taxable value of your house is this, $125,000, we're going to now multiply that by 0.009, and instead of paying $1,500, let me pause, I gotta get my calculator real quick. Okay, I'm back with my calculator. I think I did pretty darn good though. I did all that in my head. Okay, so we've got $125,000 times our new tax levy of 0.009. So now, because out of these 6 homes, the value of property 6 doubled and these ones stayed the same, instead of paying $1,500, each of these homes is now paying $1,125. And I'm gonna show you a real life example so that you can see how this is actually possible. Now this home that was worth $375,000, 375 times the tax levy of 0.009, this house is going to be responsible for $3,375. So you can see where all the homes in the district really help carry the load. So I'm going to explain a situation where your home value might go up, the assessed value might go up, but maybe, and it has to be a perfect scenario, maybe you won't have to pay more taxes. So my house where I live right now, they're building a ton of $4 million homes in my district. Right behind my house, right alongside down the street, and then within my neighborhood, many of the houses that have recently been listed or gone under contract are going under contract for at least double what my house is worth, sometimes 3 or 4 times the amount of what my house is worth. So in a situation where I have the least expensive house, and now new houses are being added to the tax district that I'm in that are all worth 3 and 4 times the amount of mine, they're going to carry some of that burden because the sum of all the houses is now greater. So even if the value of my house goes up a little bit, and even if the levy goes up a little bit because the budget was increased by 3% and the sum of all the houses changed a little bit, my taxes could potentially be less next year. I don't anticipate this happening all the time, but I'm putting money on it. I actually have a bet going on with my husband. I bet you next year our taxes are gonna be less because of all the big houses going in. Now, what if the district's budget goes up? So here's the exact same example. And if you remember in the last one, every house was paying $1,500 when the budget was $9,000. So now it's gone up by 3% and it puts each property now at $1,545. In my tax video where I dive even deeper into this, I'm gonna give you scenarios where there's rental properties, multiple different values, because rental properties being in your neighborhood can actually be another advantage for you as a property owner and make you pay a little bit less depending on how many rentals are around you, which is kind of nice because usually it's crummy to live among a lot of rentals, but here the homeowner will lose that tax exemption, and when they lose that tax exemption, the assessed value on their home is higher, which means the sum of all the houses in the district is higher, and they're helping carry more of that tax burden for you. So can you see how this is significantly different than the rate-based system? And here in Idaho, you are definitely protected as a homeowner. There is a situation where you may not be, and that's what my special guest is going to cover here in just a moment, but I quickly need to explain two other things to you, and then we'll bring him on, so hang tight. Okay, so we love the levy system for two reasons, just to kind of reiterate. Reason number one is when the market is hot, you are not going to necessarily be shelling out a bunch of money, and it really protects you from paying extra money to Uncle Sam. So it prevents taxing districts from collecting excessive windfalls just because the market is hot. Number two, it preserves the consistent delivery of critical services during periods of market decline. And let me tell you, the money, you see it at work for you. Like here, it's clean, beautiful, safe. You can see all of the new roads going in. You can see your tax dollars at work. So it's definitely very nice. Okay, homeowners exemption. Last conversation before I bring on the special guest. I know I mentioned this a little bit, but here is a visual for you. So you got a home worth $125,000, acreage worth $175,000, putting your total value right here at $300,000. You take your homeowner's exemption for $125,000, and you are now, instead of being taxed on $300,000, only going to be taxed on $175,000. So the homeowner's exemption, to qualify, the house has to be owner occupied. It needs to be your primary residence, and it's $125,000 or 50%. It depends on if the 50% is less than $125,000, then it's 50%. So this is really nice. And yes, it includes manufactured homes as well. I get that question every now and then. Ooh, our special guest is coming on and I'm getting butterflies. So we've been talking about property taxes and the homeowner's exemption. And in that conversation, I've mentioned several times the assessed value of your home. How do they come up with the assessed value of your home? Well, when you give us a call and we help you relocate here, when you're sitting down at that table, they're going to ask you, do you want to disclose the price of your home or not? And that decision could play another factor in what you do or don't pay for your property taxes. So I am going to bring my mentor and my husband, a national speaker and financial guru, into this video so he can give you his take on whether or not you should disclose the price of what you purchased your home for and whether it's a helpful thing or not. With no further ado, my husband, Boise Idaho.
Hey, thank you so much for having me on the vid this time. You know, sometimes I do my cameos, but Rachel wanted me to pop in and talk about why or why not it might be a great or bad idea for you to disclose the value of your home at the closing table with your title rep after, of course, we've helped you locate that dream machine, aka your home. So what happens is you sit down and they're gonna pull out this document and it's gonna ask you three simple questions. It's gonna ask you, do you wanna disclose the value of your home? Do you not wanna disclose the value of your home, or are you just not gonna sign it and submit it? So there's a couple reasons why you might wanna disclose the value of your home. Idaho is a non-disclosure state. You are not required to disclose anything here with the purchase of your home. So when I was buying my first house here in Idaho, everyone always said, you don't want to disclose, because most likely what happens is they assess the value of your home and then they base that assessment is now calculated with the levied tax rate in the city. and then that's your taxes. So what was happening is they were assessing the values of the homes, and when the market wasn't crazy, they were assessing the homes of what people thought was below market value. And so let's just say, for example, you purchase a house for $700, or it's on the market at $700, and you get your homeowner's exemption, so that takes you down to $550. So if you disclose that, they would base your rate on that $550 mark.
$575.
Yeah, oh sorry, $575 rate. So if you ended up not disclosing the value, it might be higher and it might be lower. So a lot of people just roll the dice, and they were getting the benefit of lower assessed values for a very, very long time. However, I decided to roll the dice and see what happens. And the house actually was purchased at $650, and the assessed value came in at $725. Obviously, you got the homestead exemption, and it dropped it down to a $600,000 valuation. Now, what I was told before I did my own investigation is they said, oh, if it ends up being off or it ends up higher than what you paid for it, you can just contest it and then they'll instantly change it. Well, after I did my due diligence and called the county assessor's office, they said, no, that's not the facts. You actually have to wait 6 months for the next tax session to roll around, and then you can contest it and they'll adjust it accordingly. Well, then that got me really interested in wanting to understand how they actually assess the value of your home. And this is why I think personally, especially right now as the market's, gone backwards a little bit from where it was a year ago, especially in the higher end homes, and it really is going to be a case by case scenario, is they told us, and you can look this up online, they told us that they look at the current active homes on the market and what they're pricing them at, and also the houses that are under contract. Since we're a non-disclosure state, no one is technically privy to the information of what the houses were actually selling for. So let's say, for example, when I purchased the home, the market was coming backwards. So the house originally was listed at $725. We closed on it at $650, and then they assessed the value at $725. So it was $75,000 over the price that we paid for it. So that is when I decided to start doing my due diligence. And so I personally think it's absolutely insane that they do it this way, but it's the only way they can actually do it. So if you're buying a house right now and you are thinking in your mind, I know this house is probably gonna be less in what you're closing on it than what they're going to assess it for based on like where the house started. Let's say it started out at $1 million and now it's been price reduced down to $800. In that scenario, I would have to say that I would probably disclose the value of that home. And it's always going to be a case by case scenario. And I'm not an attorney. I'm just saying what I would do in that situation. And obviously every single house is going to play a different role in that. But I personally didn't like the fact that the taxes on the house were listed at $3,000, and then by the time I was done closing on the house, they were at $4,600, because not only did the person I buy it for have homestead exemption, but the house had doubled in value in less than 2 years. So when they did the reassessment, it was with a whole nother owner and all sorts of stuff. So I was talking to the title officer, and she even said, yeah, my taxes, my house got reassessed too, and this year it went up 25%. So it can be a little bit of a dagger in the heart. But like we were just talking, what I heard Rachel mention about that the property tax down in Texas being 3%. If you think about it, in Eagle, Idaho, the tax assessed value is right around 0.8%. So realistically, on a $1 million house, you're talking about $8,000 a year in taxes. $1 million in some cities in Texas, that's $30,000 a year in property taxes. So I've lived in multiple different states, and I love the way that Idaho has everything set up. I think it's super beneficial, and you just have to do your due diligence and be cognizant around the things that you're doing when you're doing it. And that's why you reach out to professionals like ourselves so we can help you make those educated decisions. So now I'm going to hand it back to the beautiful wife, and she's going to talk to you about everyone's favorite, man's best friend, dogs, and kitty cats.
Yeah. Pets. So Idaho is the most affordable state to own a pet, but some of this data, in my opinion, is extremely skewed, and I'm going to prove to you why it's skewed. But all in all, it's very affordable to own a pet, and I'll give you a couple tips on how you can save some money. So according to the internet, annually to have a dog, it's $1,231 a month. And in Delaware, for example, which is the most expensive state, it's $2,864. But part of this equation was $100 annually for dog food. No dog here is only eating $100 worth of food a year. I think that's crazy. Just like everything on the internet, except for me. I'm on the internet, but I'm not crazy. I went to Costco, $37.99 for a bag of dog food. That would mean your dog's only eating 2.5 bags of food a year. I don't know very many dogs that do that. Here are the prices for spay and neuter in our 2 top relocated to cities, Eagle and Meridian. There's a senior discount in Eagle, and you can get your animal spayed or neutered for only $5. Boise also has some senior discounts. Meridian doesn't. Okay, here's my tip on saving money on dogs. First and foremost, if you are thinking about getting a furry friend that requires some grooming, no, you are going to be spending a lot of money. We are short groomers here in Idaho. If you are thinking about starting a business, you love animals, you want to groom them, or you want to train up some other people or get some other people trained up to groom, I guarantee it'll be very successful. Grooming your dog here in Idaho is astronomically expensive. Even just paying for them to come by and give them a bath, really expensive. Double and triple everywhere else that I've seen. Jesse's right here, so he'll pop right back in because he just put his finger up.
Yeah, the one thing that I wanted to say is that when we moved out here, finding a groomer to groom the dogs was a complete catastrophe. There was weeks and weeks and weeks of waiting, so I ended up buying all my own grooming supplies to groom the dogs, and that lasted one time. But I will tell you that we have an amazing mobile groomer now that comes to the house, cuts the dogs, bathes the dogs, trims their nails, every size, doesn't matter. So one thing that we love to do with all of our clients, because 99.9% of them relocate with pets, is we hook them up with our dog groomer. Because I'll tell you right now, trying to find one is absolutely impossible. The waiting list is astronomical, and you'll end up in the same position with me, using those shears and trim them yourself. So when you work with our team, you get to work with our groomers too.
Yep, which is a big deal, truthfully. Same thing with childcare, which I'll talk to you about. I mean, there's a couple things that really, if you don't have a referral, you might have a hard time getting those services. Another tip on how to save money with your furry friends is our local landscaping or nursery company out here, Zamzows, has clinics where you can go get your dogs their shots, and it's really, really affordable. Or you can buy it yourself at some of the farm and feed supply and just give them the shots. It's not hard. And now you know me, and my background is actually in nursing. So if you want me to give your dog a shot, pick it up and I'll help you out. Off the record, has nothing to do with my real estate license. Okay, hunting and fishing. For a dual license for hunting and fishing, you're looking at $38.75 annually. I highly recommend, if you're relocating to Idaho, at least getting involved in the fishing scene here. It's so beautiful, and there's so many opportunities for going fishing. There's also a ton of opportunity for hunting. My stepdad goes to work, comes home in the evening, and goes grouse hunting. He takes his dog Sai out, they get grouse, they come home, wrap it in bacon, stick a little rosemary in there, and then smoke it on the Traeger. You'll never want to eat out again for the rest of your life, and you'll never want to buy meat from the grocery store either. While it's $38.75, if you are looking at getting into hunting, please reach out to me and I can walk you through the process. There are a lot of permits involved. Sometimes there's lottery systems, so there's a little bit more to it, and you will have to pay some additional fees. But overall, it's very affordable to hunt and fish here in Idaho. Another thing to just keep in mind is you need to be a resident here for 4 months before you can get that local pricing. So there's actually some really cool, if you're planning on having babies here and you're going to stay in Idaho forever because it's so wonderful, you can get lifetime licenses as a gift for your newborn or for a family member, and they're in the hundreds range. So can you imagine a lifetime license for hunting, fishing for your kiddos? I think it's a really cool gift. That you can get your little one or to give somebody who just had a baby. So I think that's pretty special. Restaurants, who doesn't like to eat out? My aunt came out here and wanted to treat a handful of us kiddos, I say kiddos, I'm not a kiddo anymore, but to her, I'll always be a kiddo, right? Wanted to treat us to dinner. We went to one of the up and coming restaurants on 8th Street in downtown Boise, which is where all the best food is. A couple people had a couple drinks. We had appetizers, dessert, and dinner. There were 2 kiddos, and the bill was only $100. She called the waitress over and was like, what's wrong with this? Like, you guys forgot something. Nothing was forgot. It's just really the bill was only $100. It is very affordable to dine out here in Idaho. I do not miss the days of having to select happy hour places based on their happy hour food to eat dinner if I wanted to go out to eat. That was a very common theme for me in Seattle and in LA, but here in Boise, I can go out to eat without worrying about whether or not it's happy hour. We don't really drink. So we don't have to worry about the alcohol prices, but the alcohol here is super affordable, and I have a lot of friends who say they cannot believe that they can get a craft cocktail for such a low price, or a good, is it domestic beer or imported beer that's usually more expensive? They're always blown away by our beer prices here in Idaho. So if you are a foodie and you're looking to explore the food scene, or you're just really busy and you're not into cooking for yourself, whatever it is, just know that if you dine here in Idaho, it's not going to cost you a lot. This website that I put this graph up on is really cool. I'm not sure if you can see these markings here, but this is where Idaho sits as far as the price goes. And this website, people will submit what it costs them to go out to eat. So this is all real data, really current and up to date. So you can see, for example, an inexpensive meal at a restaurant can be up to $40 in some states, $10 in some, and we're sitting right at $18, $60 for a nice meal. So like I said, the cost of going out to eat here is pretty fun. And I think a lot of people move to Idaho because they want a slower pace of life, and they really want to change things up, and they really want to enjoy community and go out with friends and family. I know the hustle and bustle and grind, so many of the families I talk to say they're both working full-time jobs, living paycheck to paycheck. They don't get to go out to eat. They don't get to go outdoors and go on adventures with their family because they don't have the time. When they do have time, they're exhausted, or their budget is stretched so thin that they just can't afford to do these things. So I think it's really special that here in Idaho, it's affordable to live your life. Childcare, we're looking at $1,244.38 on average for a full-time childcare for one child. I mentioned earlier we're short dog groomers. We're even more short daycare and preschool. We are actually classified as what is called a daycare desert. I wanted to say dry care desert, but a daycare desert. So we're really trying hard here and pushing in the Treasure Valley to have more daycares and preschools open. So there's some funding available for that. And the city is so desperate, they'll help you get that up and going. If you're passionate about kiddos, or you're an entrepreneur and this is something you've thought about doing, we need your businesses here in the state. If you have kids and you need daycare, you need to reach out to us early. This is just one thing that is so important. And I didn't mention many of the things because I can't remember all of them, but there's a lot of things that even if you're a year out from relocating here, or you're thinking your finances won't be right for a year, or wherever it is, you don't know what you don't know until you reach out to us. Our team knows all of the questions. We know what the conversations need to be, so we can start getting you on those waiting lists. There's no cost to getting on a waiting list for a lot of these types of things. So it's just important that you reach out so we can help develop and customize a plan that's specific to you. I mean, we talk a lot about pros and cons. How do I know what is a pro and con specifically for you unless you book a Zoom call with us, right? So our team will jump on a Zoom call. We'll spend some time just getting to know you and really customize a plan personal to you. It works super well. We have a very large and thriving business based on that model of getting to know you. So here we are again. We got Addie's got a great smile, right? Addie is, like I said, our money man. This guy is incredible. He has a podcast. He's an educator. They write their own loans, which is a huge deal that we can talk to you about later. You don't want to miss out on the opportunity to work with a team like us if you're thinking about relocating here. If you're thinking about relocating to another state, we have teams in other states as well. Don't hesitate, give us a call, shoot us a text, write us an email. Until the next video, be blessed.